This meeting is being recorded.
Thank you, President Shandell. Blessed afternoon to each and every one of you, my fellow Rotarians. It is a good feeling that we are back on track with our scheduled meetings. I now call this meeting to order. I place it in the humble hands of our MC for this afternoon.
Thank you so much, Chairman Herman. We'll now have the invocation by yours truly. Help us today to see our opening prayer as conversation, really believing you hear us and care about what we say. Remind us that you are a perfect Father who listens carefully to his children and desires the very best for us. We thank you for this family of Rotarians to which we belong and ask that you bless us as we meet together. Amen. Okay,
Hello.
Sorry, the welcome by Rotarian Yvonne. The floor is yours, ma'am.
Good night, fellow Rotarians. And we would like to give you a warm and extremely special welcome from the Satellite Club of Cat Island. We are always pleased to be graced with your presence. And I'd like to send a shout out. And if there's nobody on, I'd like you to convey, please, a great big thanks and gratitude to the Rotarians that were here for the iExpo. It was a wonderful pleasure having them all and a true act of kindness. And so with no further ado, you are always welcome from the island, the beautiful island of Cat Island. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rotarian Yvonne. Everyone truly feels welcome. I feel like I'm a first-time member. That's how warm that welcome was. Thank you so much for that. We will now have Chairman Herman with his remarks. The floor is yours, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you, MC, able secretary. Just a few brief remarks. As Rotarian Yvonne indicated, we have had a successful Vision Expo, and it has done great in the lives of those kids. I think we had about 103 kids that were tested. Out of that, there was about 20 something that needed glasses. So that in itself shows that majority of our kids are in good health, and those that are in need will be getting their glasses shortly. We still have, I just spoke with Miss Rumor from Urban Renewal. We have teamed up with Urban Renewal. Our last house, they have confirmed with me that renovation is on the way with the home in Adderstown, and that should be completed shortly. Soon as the repairs is done, we can team up with them in respects to the painting. I asked for a special request. I don't know if they will honor it, but I told them if they can tell me in advance, because I do have the paint in my possession in Cat Island, and I will try my endeavor best to see if I can come back into the district. But I will let you guys know in advance as relates to the date that we will set to go to that home and paint our final house of the paint project. Everyone should be going whoop, whoop, and clapping hands. I see the biggest smile on our secretary face. Say no more pain, but we're doing good as relates to that. A date to be announced very shortly. Also, I would like to encourage you guys. We have adopted a space in Spitz Bay at Spitz Bay Dock. That is our green space, eh? So let's continue to go and show some love within that area and clean it up. Do note that Rotary sign is there, so everybody, residents and tourists, see that location and see that it's adopted by Rotary. And Rotary is worldwide, is international. So just that symbol and the logo and the sign is there, we need to make sure that we live up to the expectation and we do our endeavor best to keep that green space clean, green, and pristine. We have adopted it, so now we must take care of it, all right? So I urge everybody from time to time to go there and do a little part. Also, I also would like to mention that I spoke with Rotarian Shaquille. I don't know if he's on tonight. Also, Brian and Michelle Moody. Welcome. I'm so pleased that you're back in the district, but they are working hard as relates to the water project. Shaquille was just giving me some updates in relation to that. We're still trying to see if that project can be a success and we can get that started and completed. So that is all of the announcement that I have thus far. Madam Secretary, back to you.
Thank you so much, Chairman Herman, for the updates. We'll now have the Secretary's report. I have apologies for Rotarian Rosetta, who is off island, as well as Rotarian Meglino. Just continue to keep them you can probably reach out to them to make sure that everything is well with them. Time to time, you can just check in. And then also, I just have a special thanks again for RCN. It was such a pleasure to have some of the members here in Cat Island, because finally, I mean, we view them via Zoom, but it was so good to see them in person. And also, I just want to give in a big rouse and thank you to our president, Chantel, because she was very accommodating. And, I really admired what I saw in her. And then also it helped me to say, I got to pull up my socks. So thank you, President Chantel, and to the RCN, our parent club, because it really gave me a good feeling of what Rotary is and what it should be. So thanks again. I just want to open the floor if we have any visiting Rotarians for the first time or any guests for attendance purposes, please.
Good night all. Dwayne Slavey, Rotary Club of Nassau, past president.
Good night all. Rotarian Craig, Rotary Club of Nassau.
Good night all. Rotarian Samita, Rotary Club of Nassau.
And Sheila Bethel, Rotary Club of Nassau.
And Keno McCartney, Rotary Club of Nassau.
Yes, yes, yes.
And Brian and Michelle Moody, Rotary Club of East Nassau.
Soon to be Cat Island. You're still in
Yes,
that
yes.
club? What are you doing, you two? Tusk.
Join us.
I know. I need the form.
Not a problem. I'll forward that to you ASAP.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone. I'll now turn the floor over to the treasurer, Rotarian Letitia.
Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be back on the Zoom and with our regular meeting. I too join in with the thanks that has been extended to the Rotary Club of Nassau, persons who were here in Cat Island. It really was a wonderful time, great fellowship, and I also was very pleased to personally meet many of the persons who before we just knew over Zoom. But again, that it was really a great experience. And also out of that, we had at our meeting, we were able to collect some fines and dues. So that was profitable in a way for us. We collected, and a deposit of $110 was made for persons who had fines and stuff. But on the whole, just the balance in our bank account at the moment, the RCN of Cat Island, the Satellite Club, is $1,981.98. Okay.
And
that
did
is
you
our
get
balance.
my dues? I think I sent you the dues, yeah, for the
Oh,
year.
all right. There was a direct credit by Michelle.
Yeah,
That's Michelle, right? Yes. On
yeah,
the
okay.
1st of September.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we received a direct credit of, and you could want me to confirm the amount?
No, I think it was
No,
500 for both of us.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yes,
Yeah.
that is correct. Okay. Yeah, so that is included in the balance that was reported, $1,981.98. Okay, and that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Treasurer Letitia.
Yeah,
You
Secretary,
have-
before we go, I would like to, while the treasurer just give the report, I'd like to say to all members, Rotary Saturday Club, do remember dues and also the monthly stipend or contribution, I should say. When we have normally we does it during our face-to-face meeting of $20. Yeah, Secretary, I see the face of forget. Our Secretary forget. But yes, let's remember to pay our dues for those who haven't as yet. You can see the treasurer. Also those who, the contribution, pledge and agreement that we have made as relates to $20 monthly. Let's try to honor that as well. Just wanted to nug that in there.
Yes, and I'm also nudging there are a few persons who have not yet done the yearly membership. So I want to have our slate clean within the next, to be reported by the next. So I will continue to nudge so that everyone can be financial. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. I will now introduce our guest speaker for this evening, and she is no stranger to us. It is the person of Sheila Bethel. I feel like Rotarian Sheila is the walking encyclopedia of Rotary. So she has a wealth of knowledge, and she has no hesitation in giving her input as it relates to Rotary, the ins and outs. So without further ado, our dynamic speaker for this evening, the one and only Sheila Bethel. The floor is yours, ma'am.
Thank you. Dynamic. Okay, that's a new one. Actually, looking at who's on this meeting, I feel a little bit with some of you, like I'm preaching to the choir. Michelle and Brian, Dwayne, Chantel. But anyway, as you all know, this November is Foundation Month. So what I've done is I've just put together a kind of overview of Rotary, and I'm sure most of you can go to sleep because you know all this already. But anyway, here we go. So the mission of Rotary generally is doing good in the world, to kind of cut it down. Can you see the screen, and everyone?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, the screen is visible.
okay, good. You know, doing good in the world. I mean, that's obviously a sweeping statement, but essentially that's what we're here to do. Except I am not, there we go. Okay, so the Rotary Foundation is the arm of Rotary where the funds reside for our doing good in the world job. And I'm going to, I can't get the thing to change. What the hell's going on? Chantel, what did you do to my screen?
What slide do you want? It has changed. It is changing.
Yeah, but it's not changing like it's supposed to. Anyway, we started out the Rotary Foundation with very small beginnings. Does anybody know how much money we started with? Michelle and Brian, be quiet. No? Okay, so in 1917, Arch Klump proposed setting up an endowment for the purpose of doing good in the world, and the first donation was $26.50. As they say, we've come a long way, baby. And then it was renamed the Rotary Foundation after a few years, and it became a distinct, separate entity within Rotary International. In 1985, the Polio Plus program was started. That was a kind of offshoot of an initial project that Rotary had with the Philippines, where they had a massive polio outbreak. And having had such an amazing success there, Rotary decided that perhaps they could bring this up to a worldwide cause. And so that is what happened in 1985. And as you know, we're still fighting this one. But since that first donation of $26.50, the foundation has received totals of more than $1 billion. So I wish I'd invested $26.50 in 1917. I could have bought Twitter. So the basics of the Rotary Foundation. To put it in a nutshell, Rotarians donate money, and the money is used to do good in the world. And how do we donate that money? We donate it to the Rotary Foundation. And the reason that the Rotary Foundation is doing so well is because of something called Charity Navigator. Charity Navigator looks at all the major charities worldwide and gives them a rating. And for several years, Rotary International and the Rotary Foundation have been given the highest 4-star rating by Charity Navigator. And just as an aside, this does actually have a lot of influence. A few years ago, there were several high-flying so-called charities which were actually banned and disbanded because they weren't living up to what they said they were supposed to do. So people do take notice of that rating. And it's one of the reasons that we've been so fortunate and so successful in getting major entities and businesses, etc., to provide funding for our foundation projects. So where do those contributions that we all do go? There's the annual fund, the endowment fund, Polio Plus, and disaster response. Those are the 4 main areas that you'll see listed when you check the foundation. What we're going to do now is have a quick overview of each of them. So the annual fund, that's where most of the money goes. For example, when you pay your funds into the Rotary Club of Nassau, and we charge that $100 for sustaining membership every year, that money actually goes into the annual fund. All the dues go into the annual fund. It's a primary source of grant funding. What happens is the money is invested for 3 years and the interest is used to fund the operating expenses. So that's another reason that Charity Navigator is so gung-ho, so impressed with Rotary International, because of the way that the money is used. And also it's returned as share. Share is when, we'll look at that a little bit later. When the funds actually come back to the districts, a proportion of what the districts pay actually comes back to the districts so that they can utilize it for local funding for grants. The endowment fund. This is something where you could leave money in your will, or you could give an amount of money to the endowment fund. It's just sits there. It's a long-term investment for Rotary. It also gives them viability long-term so that they know what money is likely to be coming in, and it helps to plan for the future. Disaster response. Contributions are combined into one fund and they're made available through Rotary disaster response grants. They cannot be directed to a specific disaster. So if you want to donate money to the disaster response, you can't say, I want to give this to Cat Island because they've had a bad hurricane. The only way that you can influence where the funds go is you can actually send a recommendation or a request to the disaster response committee, who will then review whether this is something that they feel the funds could go to. At the moment, Rotary Disaster is helping with Ukraine. They've got a lot of problems over there. The latest thing that they did, I noticed on the website, is we've been involved with sending ambulances into the Ukraine, which are desperately needed. Polio Plus. Now, I think this is the one we know most about. The money is committed and spent as it comes in, can only be spent on polio. The Gates Foundation is one of those entities that was really impressed with the honesty and the transparency of Rotary International. And so that's why they decided that they wanted to put their funds for polio with Rotary. So for every $100 that we donate as individuals or as Rotary itself, the Gates Foundation will match that at 2 to 1. So that $100 becomes $300. And that is how we've managed to do as much as we have done for eradicating polio. By the way, I've got the beginnings, I think, of a cold, so my voice is a bit scratchy. Obviously, once we have rid the world of polio, this will go away. And then there's the big debate about what do we do next? What's our big focus next? There are a lot of other things in the offing, but nobody has actually made a decision yet. I think it's a bit like putting your mouth on it. If we start saying where the money's going next, perhaps polio won't go away. Okay, when you contribute to the different areas of Rotary International, you do actually get recognitions from them. There are lots of them. I'm sure that you know about some of them. Some of them you've probably never heard of. And these are some of the awards that you can get. A sustaining member is somebody who's giving $100, at least $100 a year towards the polio or the fund. Paul Harris Fellow you get when you have donated $1,000, and every year you get another little sapphire. You can see on the top left up here, there's a sapphire. Paul Harris. Once you've gone past that, you start getting a diamond, and you get rubies, and then you get a diamond. And once you've reached $10,000, you become a major donor, and you'll get a nice major donor badge. I think I've got one on here. Which one? That one. And also, when you become a major donor, you get this. I don't know if you can see it. It's a really nice crystal award. Paul Harris Society is when you commit to a certain amount that you pay every year. You give Rotary your credit card number and they'll automatically deduct the funds. Polio Plus Society, Lindsay Cancino's been pushing that recently. He managed to grab me, that's that one. A major donor I just spoke about. Arch Club Society, you've got to have a lot of money for that. Perhaps Michelle and Brian might donate $250,000. Benefactor is someone who leaves money in their will. The Bequest Society is when you sign up for that as well, and you get another crystal thing. There's my crystal Bequest Society. Erie, every Rotarian every year is a minimum of $25. And the next three are awards that are given to clubs for their giving. And also the bottom one is for the top 3 per capita clubs. Some of the clubs are very, very wealthy and give millions of dollars every year. Okay, so let's take a look at what the foundation does that, you know, kind of means something to us. Several years ago, we applied for a grant for a water system to be installed on Grand Bahama. We started out with managing to raise about $15,000. And by the time we went to all the various donors that you can involve in this, and you got district funds and you got the global grants as well, we ended up with a $250,000 fund. And this is what we had in the picture. And I'd like to point out as well that after Dorian on Grand Bahama, this at one point was the only source of drinking water for a lot of people on Grand Bahama. So you can do really big projects from small beginnings. We're back to those small beginnings again. Angelique, you wanted, oh, sorry, I thought that was a question. These are the various foundation programs, district grants. You know that you can apply for a district grant, 70-20, and they're usually around $5,000 each. They'll fund some of the smaller projects. The
Bloodmobile came from it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just using that one as an example. I think mainly because, you know, it actually showed its worth.
Yeah.
And I understand that that was operating as well recently with Nicole going over the island. Then you've got scholars, vocational training teams, polio eradication, which we all know about, and World Polio Day, and then peace scholars. These are courses that people who are studying peace, world understanding, all of these kind of interest-based university courses, and they can be nominated by, you could nominate from one club, and you can nominate somebody for this award, and they will go to one of the selected universities. This is for masters and above. And then disaster response, which we already know about. There are 7 areas of focus for the Rotary Foundation. What's that one? Unmute your mics. And what's this one? And Michelle and Brian and Dane Swaby and Chantel. No way. Angelique, anybody? No? Ooh. Peace and conflict prevention and resolution. Let's try the next one. Anybody? Are you all asleep? I know I can be very boring. Disease.
I'm awake.
I just don't know the answer.
That is something you should be working on. You really should know these areas of focus, because
fighting disease or disease prevention.
Yeah.
How about support and education?
We haven't got there yet.
Oh, I thought you were asking. Okay, never mind.
No. As I bring it up.
Apologies.
What's this one?
How to do it? Water. Clean water.
Water and sanitation.
Sanitation. And hygiene. Is it hygiene?
Next one. Can you see the icons?
Look like
at the bottom.
Mothers, and there gotta be a parent, so it's mother and probably children.
maternal and child health.
Well, okay, that's close.
Well, no, I
That has
messed
to be the
that up.
education, you know?
Yeah, I
Literacy,
messed that one up
literacy.
anyway.
Education,
Education and literacy.
And
There you
literacy.
go, education literacy.
Ooh, that
And
was-
that one has to do with
Really,
economy. Probably helping your local and your economies.
Economic and community development. Well done. So there are 6. Recently, Rotary added another area of focus to the original 6. Does anybody know what it is?
Environment,
Environment.
Somebody
The
else.
climate change, environment.
You got to protect your environment. That's why they have this call.
Yes, there we go. Supporting the environment. So those are the 7 areas of focus, and you should all know what they are, because this is really the core that we build our work around. Because maternal and child health, you just did the vision screening. Supporting the environment, you're doing your cleanup on Cat Island in your green area that you've selected. And we have the Road to Peace that we work with. So all of these different things we're working on in different areas. And it also gives you a guide as to, you know, if you're thinking, well, what could we do next? What would be a good thing to do? You could look at these 7 areas of focus and it'll give you an idea of, you know, kind of what you could perhaps help with. Okay, so summary of my very brief overview of the foundation. It's a resource for grants for both local and international service. It's separate from Rotary International in that, you know, the funding is kept separate. They have their own staff as well. And remember, it's top rated year on year by the world's independent charity rating agencies. This is really important. Like I said to you, the reason that Rotary has done so well attracting people like Bill Gates is because we have this incredibly good rating, the 4-star rating. So, does anybody know what the 4th object of Rotary is? Do you know your object of Rotary? I know we all kind of work on the 4-way test, but there are also the objects of Rotary that we should know as well. Da, 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 da.
It's on the back of a card inside my car that I always keep.
I don't think that's going to help you too.
I know one is high ethical standards, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean.
All right, anyway, obviously nobody's going to get it. The advancement of international understanding, goodwill, and peace through a world fellowship of business and professional persons united in the ideals of service. Now that sums up exactly what the foundation is all about. You remember at the beginning, I brought up the mission statement. This is the same mission statement, but just different wording. So the foundation is there to help us to live up to these ideals, to live up to these standards that we have agreed to adhere to when we joined Rotary. So that is your overview of the Rotary Foundation. Do you have any questions?
Thanks very much, Sheila. That was very interesting.
Well, it's very brief, but you know, I only had a few minutes anyway. So, but I think the most important thing is that all of you go and really take a look at the foundation and what it's all about, and understand. If you understand about the foundation, you have a much better understanding of Rotary International, of Rotary clubs, and of why the heck we're here. You know, what are we doing? Why are we doing it? What's the end goal? I mean, that 4th object of Rotary is really the end goal of everything that the foundation stands for. So I do highly recommend that you go back onto rotary.org, you go onto the foundation information and look it up. It's really quite awe-inspiring as well when you look at what we've done over the past years. I mean, it's over 100 years now since we started, but $26.50. So I think one of the things that we should also take to heart is that when you look at that $26.50, those small beginnings, we don't have to be daunted and think, well, you know, I've got to have hundreds and thousands and millions of dollars to be able to make a difference. But if you start small and build on it, which is really to a certain extent what each individual club does when they first get started, is, you know, kind of build on your foundation and kind of grow from there and understand that nothing's impossible if you really put your mind to it. Anyway, any questions? Hi, Donna. Nice to see you.
Hi, darling.
Hi, Sheila, can you just talk a little bit about how we can use the money from foundation, how the clubs use the money? Like the grants, pretty much?
How to set up a grant?
Yeah, yeah. So we put the money into foundation, then so how do we now get, you know, go about actually using it?
Well, I mean, you have to fill out if you're looking for a global grant, which is quite complicated, you have to actually fill out numerous forms and set up a separate bank account. And you also have to justify that what you want to spend the money on is not just something you want, but that something is really needed in the community, your local community, or internationally. Michelle or Brian, were you involved with either of the two East Nassau global grants?
Yeah, the Bloodmobile, I initiated that. And it took about a year and some.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no short answer to how you get the grant. I mean, the
Well,
major thing is
the district grants, you know, if you follow up on that early enough, you know, they can do the district grants.
You know, district grants are quite straightforward. We've had Rotary Club of Nassau has never applied for a global grant, but like I said, Chantal, there's no real short answer to it. The best thing I can recommend is that you go and download the application forms for a global grant, just to give you a background idea of, you know, what's needed. I was trying to get the Nassau Club, grant for the Nassau Club at one point, but I think that our club was too small. We were going through those difficulties at the time, and it never happened. What I looked at was, as you know, we do admission screening, and we're always limited to, you know, the 100 kids that we can deal with. What I was looking at was there's a piece of equipment where, you know, you hold it up to the eyes and it does the reading of, you know, any eye problems. It'll be able to read for glaucoma, all of these different things. Obviously it takes training and they're quite expensive, but my idea at that time was to get a few of these. You get training with them as well, and try to get them through several of the islands in the Bahamas, instead of, you know, just having everything really Nassau centric, because that's exactly Cat Island. I mean, it's Nassau centric because we came over to do it. Whereas what would happen is, if you have certain of the islands with the equipment, then the local clinic would have, and Rotary would still be involved, is to have somebody in the Rotary Club and somebody in the local clinic who are trained to be able to use these things. And they're quick. You know, it's a very kind of quick and easy thing to do. I got all the pricing together, but it just never went anywhere. But I mean, you know, kind of, I had interest internationally as well, putting funding into it. But I mean, it was partly my fault, I guess. I didn't push hard enough. But as Michelle said, it takes a long time getting these things together.
Yeah.
You have to cross every T and dot every I, otherwise you will not get it. And the other thing to remember as well, as I'm sure Michelle remembers, is that the aftermath as well, once you've got the grant, the reporting you have to do.
Oh, the reporting, yeah.
Very intensive. Once again, we're back to the credibility of the foundation and Rotary itself, because everything is done with great transparency, above board, and is carefully reviewed. Okay. Chantel, I'm sorry that's not a very kind of definitive answer, but it's
Well,
not.
you could apply for district grants, you know?
Well, those are easy. I mean,
Yeah.
we've applied for those before, so.
Yeah, we do. I think we do those every year, but
Every year, yeah.
okay, yeah, but no, that's a good one. We probably should look into pursuing that again, Sheila.
Well, I think it's something that's worth doing, yes. But,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, we also kind of had thought about a couple of people that I was working with. We had thought about possibly getting another local club to partner with us because, you know, it would help with getting the information through the islands as well. But anyway, yeah, we can look at it.
Okay, next, Sheila, the question I have, with reference to the contribution recognitions to the foundation, which one of those would be the ones that we could probably donate to collectively as a club? I know, I'm not sure the ones like how I would have 100% foundation giving club. So like how I would have 100% Paul Harris Society Club. Which are there any of those we can contribute to as a club, or are all of those individual?
Well, the issue is here. I'm honestly not really completely clear about it. I don't know if Michelle, Brian, or Chantel have any better understanding. But remember, the satellite club is actually the Rotary Club of Nassau, and I'm not sure if they're listed separately. Chantel?
No, they are not. They're listed as a part of RCN.
Yeah, so, you know, so anything that is donated goes to the, you know, Rotary Club of Nassau record.
Okay.
Or individual things, like if Angelique Thompson donates $1,000 to the annual fund or polio, you would be individually recognized for it.
Okay.
Or if you give $10, whatever it is, you would get individual recognition. There are two ways. It's either the club is donating or the individual is donating. Or the other thing that can be done as well with the Paul Harris is that you can, for example, I have a lot of points, and you get points for every dollar you spend, and you donate rather, and you accumulate the points. Now I've used 1,000 points on several occasions to give people a Paul Harris. You use 1,000 points instead of $1,000.
Oh, okay.
So you can, you know, kind of do things like that as well.
Okay. Okay, noted.
You should be able to go on to Rotary.org and find out what your personal giving is. If you go to the Rotary Club Central and look for under reports, you can find out how much you've given and you know, kind of see when you gave it and things like that. When you reach $1,000, you get your first Paul Harris. Well, $1,001 actually.
Okay. Okay.
Anybody else? Okay. Anyway, always enjoy.
Hold on, Sheila. Don't go yet, Sheila. Don't go.
What? Uh-oh. Oh, here comes trouble. Here comes trouble.
Trouble is in the house. Three quick statements and a question. First, thank you very much, Sheila. Excellent presentation. Very, very informative, especially that information about the last, on the 7 points that you mentioned, the last point.
The areas of focus.
The areas of focus. I also want to encourage all of the members of the Satellite Club. There is an interview that our international president did. It's on Facebook, and it's also on the Rotary Facebook page. And she just did it recently. She had an interview with the UN, I think with the UN representative, talking about that same point.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
it is really going to fit in. especially with the green space that Herman that you talked about what y'all are doing in Cat Island. I think that it's a wonderful initiative. So please go ahead and watch that interview. I started to watch it 2 days ago. Very, very good. And then my third point is, I want to thank the Satellite Club for, if like Sheila said, $26 is what Rotary, the foundation started out, but y'all already have $1,900. And small beginnings. So I could congratulate y'all on that. And my last question, Sheila, the project that is in Cat Island, the water project, what would that, the funding for that fall under? A district grant, an international grant, or look, which one of that would that fit under?
Well, there are two, the district grant and the global grant. I really have no idea how it's working. I was talking to Herman about it when we had my outsized waffle last weekend. Yeah. And I was trying to get some clarity on it. I mean, I don't know. Is it a grant that's being applied for, or is somebody donating the money? I really have no idea.
Yeah, both. So what's happening, we did apply for the grant, but the maximum for the grant is 5,000.
Oh, you've applied for a district grant?
Yes. So we were told that we have received a grant, but we put in 2 applications, so we don't know which one we got the for. We're still waiting to get that. I've reached out to the AGs and I've reached out to Ryan, and I don't know which one. I don't know if we got it for that or we got it for Vision Expo. And then we also, there's a donor, I believe the amount is 100,000. This is the one that Michael mentioned during his presidency. There's this donor who wants to contribute to the Bahamas, but it has to be water and sanitation or maternal and child care, those projects. So basically we can, submit the amount up to, I think it's up to 100,000 if I remember correctly. So this is where we're at. Yeah, so, we just need to get the proper costing because Michael had submitted a proposal, but the proposal that he submitted, the committee didn't think that it was sustainable. So then we had to go back to the drawing board. So what we decided to do was work with water and sewage because, they're the subject matter expert. Now, just getting them to give us this information about, okay, this is what you need. This is what it costs to install what you need. This is the, and that is where we're at. We have already talked about what we want to do in terms of getting the water, and they agree that it's a good process. Now they just need to tell us, okay, how much is going to cost for us to get this connected. Yeah. So
yes.
So you have a potential 100,000 plus 5,000 from district. Are you actually going to apply for a global grant, or is that it?
That is it for the time being. That is where we're at right now. We're starting off just in the, Herman, you can remember which community? And so we wanted to use
Bantown. This is in the Bantown area.
Right. So we wanted to use that kind of like a pilot project. And once we can get that going, then we could look at possibly doing a global project, grant to do the whole island.
Yeah. Also, Chantel, there is a system that I think Rotary is in partnership with, but it is Hands the Hand or something like that. What is the name?
Hand wash, I think it is. Hand wash?
No, not hand wash. This is the local one in Nassau.
Hands for Hunger?
Hands for Hunger. I think that's what it is. Something like that.
Yeah. So there's a system, and it's a really good system. That system will pump 5,000 gallons per day. Right now in the Bantown community, they do not have potable water. We have water and sewage. That truck holds about 1,600 gallons, and it only can dump two loads. So that's for 3,200, and that's for the week. he does that 1 day out of the week, and in a couple of days that water is gone. The second thing is the tank. It is extremely compromised, whereby that's why it only can hold 2 loads. Plus, it is badly unsanitized. So when water and sewage put that good water in it, it becomes immediately contaminated, and residents only can do minor little stuff with that water. So, and then we have a good much of single parents in that community and what's not. So that system will really be good in that community. I think past President Michael was looking at some other system that is further south. I think that is much costlier, and it will be a large sum to try to get that system transported, with a barge or whatever, to try to get that into the Kid Island district rather than this system here that Rotary is affiliated with. And I think Han of Hunger will deal with the maintenance part of it, from correction to maintenance and upkeep. So-
Are all the households actually piped for water?
Yes, there is a system. I will post it in the group as soon as I come out of the meeting. Where you see when you look at the photos, where you see the black, that's the potential area of where the system will go, and then you see the red line. That is the piping system. The 2-inch piping system. This is a very small community, so it's not a lot of
How many
homes.
households, Herman?
You have, this system will connect to about 16 buildings. That's home, and including a sanctuary that is in there.
Why don't we just put an RO system in each of the households?
You could put the system in, but they don't have the water.
Well, that's what I'm asking you. Are they actually piped from the cistern to
They,
the
I
house?
mean,
I don't think so.
No, what we intend to do is pipe. What is now, it is not pipe.
No,
They don't have,
it's
they don't
not
have,
piped.
they don't have potable water in that community. But that's the intention of what we're trying to do now with that fund, is to run the piping and everything else to those various homes, and those residents can now have water. What they do is they draw from the public well that is badly compromised and contaminated.
Yeah, but I mean, it'd be much cheaper to pipe it. Pipe it. You've only got 16 households. Pipe it, put a top of the line RO system in each household. I have one in my kitchen here, and which runs my whole house.
I'm not sure they have power.
And where's the water coming? Where's the water coming from, Sheila, for your RO system?
From my
They
well.
don't have any.
This is
They
what I'm
don't-
saying. So they don't have that system to get water to their homes.
Yeah, but
Kid
they
Island.
have a central cistern, or wherever they're putting the water, when they come with the truck. So how are the households getting the water out of that location? They going,
Bucket and a rope.
And by the
Bucket
same
and a rope.
token,
yeah, but you could pipe it to each household. I know piping is expensive now. I mean, I just had to buy a whole load of water pipe for the cultural festival. Yeah, it's expensive now. The price has doubled. But even so, you still could pipe it and put RO systems in for less than the kind of funding that you're talking about.
and then again, you can also perhaps dig another well. That's not as so, that
There's
goes to
zero
Finding
compromise.
wells.
water in Cat Island is not easy.
Yeah,
Right,
there's zero wells
exactly.
in Bentown. And that was another challenge. Yes, we were looking at all of the, because what Sheila is talking about is what we also, one of the ideas that we had on the drawing board, and we did assessment and what's not. There's no well in that community.
Okay, there you go.
And it's extremely difficult trying to get a well big. We do not have the I guess we don't have the right equipment, and the rock is very hard.
Okay.
Equipments like backhoe and what's not, those teeth will broke. Those method has been attempted to try to get, you know, a well or whatever in that community, and has all failed. It's extremely difficult. We have looked at these avenues, and we're trying to see which one best suit that community and which one can factually and actually work. You know, my ordeal is not so much of the method. I am more so of bringing that relief. However we can, that will be extremely well, and I know without a doubt that it'll be well received because it's badly needed. There was also a method of getting, I think, water bowsers and what's not. For get water bowsers, which the truck still will have to pump into each one of those water bowsers to those homes, and what's not. But we're looking into we were looking into all of those methods and trying to come up with the best possible solution.
Did you do a costing on all of them, Herman?
Yes, we did. I'm trying to get it. I'm trying to get it properly done and hand it over to President Chantal so she can have that to view. We have an awesome team that is working on it. We have, like I said, Shaquille Moss, Brian and Michelle Moody, and they're working along with those professional at Waterworks, and I think they're good thus far. I spoke with Shaquille today, and they are still working and tweaking. So it's not a quick fix, and it's not it's a process, and we're trying our best to see how best we can bring relief to those residents.
We spoke to Shaquille today also, who was speaking to a gentleman, I can't remember his name, who was meant to be getting some preliminary drawings for us, sketching out what his thoughts were on this whole thing. Obviously, we haven't been here much over the last 6 months, and we're trying to catch up and get up to speed on what's going on. But from what I remember, historically, we were looking at providing just like basic water to each of these homes and allow, like, to prevent them having to tote water in 5-gallon buckets from the well, right? That's what this original, the original concept was. However, then when we found out about the benefactor that was going to chip in a considerable amount of money, then the scope escalated a little bit. And since then, I really haven't seen anything that fleshes that out. Now, like I said, Shaquille and Michelle and I, and I'm trying to remember this guy's name. It was Mac something, I think. He was meant to be putting something together for us and sending it to us in preparation for this meeting, but we never got that. So I hear what you're saying, Sheila, about the RO and everything else. But one of the things with RO for drinking water, fine, you don't waste that much water with that. But RO for just the whole house and stuff, I think is way beyond the scope of what we are looking at here. We just wanted
needs a runoff.
The first thing really is just to get water to these homes that will allow them to stop having to take a 5-gallon bucket and go down to the well. I mean, that's really the very basic premise of all this. If we can make it more sophisticated and we have the funds to do so, then yeah, I mean, why not? But really, the genesis of this was because originally we were looking at just buying a couple of 100-gallon water tanks and having the water guy come and instead of filling the well, just dumping the water into each household's own personal water tank, like you see at work sites and stuff like that. Very, very, very basic. But of course, it looks like we may have a little bit more money now and we can get a little bit more sophisticated. But Michelle and I are both still trying to catch up on what's going on and trying to get a handle. And once we do, then, you know, we'll work with Jacques and present something like properly to the club. But right now, we haven't seen, anyway, put it this way, Michelle and I haven't seen any information, any detailed information on what the proposals are.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
I guess like Herman is saying, what we can do, so we have the information from Sunspring. That's the name of the company that's actually generating has the system to generate the water. I don't know if you've seen that. Herman can share that with you. Now, how the water company proposes to do the piping, that is what I don't have. And from what I understand, that is what Shaquille is supposed to be working with them on.
Great. I mean, if you guys can send us that and let us take a look at it. I mean, right now, now we're back here pretty much. I mean, I say we're back here, but we're away next week for 2 weeks and then we're back, and that's it. We're not going anywhere after that. So, now we are kind of back and more established and we don't have so much on our plate, then, we're willing to sink our teeth into it and try and make it happen. So yeah, please send us what you have right now, and then let us work with it and see how we can progress it.
Could I just interject a quick question, President Chantel? So based on the information that was provided, I understand you said that the proposal was rejected. So do they have a certain format or something of that sort to actually guide us into exactly what it is they're looking for?
Yes, so it's the same thing that Sheila said. It has to be a need in the area that we're proposing, and it has to be something that's sustainable, and it has to be able to be obtained by persons in the.
I could barely hear you, Chantal. It's like you're fading.
I said it's the same thing that Sheila said. It has to be a need in the area. It has to be something that's sustainable, like it's not just going to be a one-time and done. And then it has to be something that persons in the area, local to the area, can actually continue working with. So those are the things. So one of the challenges we had with the first proposal was that it wasn't sustainable. Just like what Brian was saying, okay, so you're going to run this osmosis, you're still using buckets or what have you to carry water, like that is not an improvement on what you have now, in essence. So that's why that was rejected. So now with this one, where it's more of a unit that's producing the water regularly, and then we just need to get it piped into the homes, that this was actually, a more viable option. And then, like you say, we have Lend a Hand Bahamas. That's actually the group who will be doing the servicing. So they will be on the ground in the Bahamas. Now, of course, once they get to Cat Island, they'll have to look at actually training persons on Cat Island as well. So then that's where you have, the other areas actually covered in terms of making sure that the project is actually sustainable and can, carry on within the community.
Okay. All right. Understandable.
So I see Herman is saying he posted the photos in the group. So Michelle and Brian, you have access to that group?
Yes, they do. Yeah, and I reposted the photos so you can see the system that we're talking about. Also,
but Herman, and what about the booklet, the actual PDF booklet?
I will have to repost that. I didn't do that this year. Yeah.
Okay,
You
yeah,
have a
we're,
copy of the booklet, right?
Yeah, I'll post it now. I'll post it.
Okay, awesome, good
All
stuff.
right.
But yeah, so you can have an idea of the system that we're now looking at, and then like Brian said, there's a sketch of what they are talking about of how now to pipe this to all of the homes, get this water to all of the home as relates to from the system, pipe to each home and everything else. So like I said, it is an ongoing thing. So we will continue to work with it and tweak where we can tweak and fine tune it and get it to the level where as we can start. And then I'm sure no, once we start, we'll get to completion, you know. But digressing a bit, I would like to thank Sheila for that wonderful presentation. Valuable information. And this is one of the things that I fall in love with Rotary with as relates to integrity and accountability. You know, giving an account for what it is we're doing, and persons can see exactly where their funds are going, and the good that is being contributed to in these various communities. So I thank you again, Sheila, for that presentation. Our secretary, she will send you she'll send you a certificate in the very near future. Also, I would like to take this opportunity to encourage Rotarians to contribute to the various foundation and the good work that Rotary is doing, not just in your community, but around the world. You know, this is a universal thing. I know we are doing some things in Kid Island. We have our green space that we have adopted. We are finishing up with our PAN project. We're trying to do with our water project and what's not. But there's a lot of good. Notice Noel just passed through the Bahamas and went into Florida. And before that, Florida just get hit with with a hurricane. You know, but I think there's still an ongoing the project, the water project in Haiti. You know, so there's a lot of things, and like Sheila said, with polio, trying to eradicate that. You know, there's a lot of good. There's a lot of good that is going on through Rotary around the world, and it makes you feel good that you are part of. You have contributed to. You're making a positive difference in the lives of individuals. You know, so if you have not as yet, or if you have, continue to deposit into these various foundation in Rotary. MC, I hand it back over to you.
Angelique, are you still there?
Yeah, sorry, apologies. Thank you so much, Rotarian Herman. I'm not sure, do we have Rotarian, is Shaquille on or no?
I don't think he's
So
on.
I guess we can go into the, we can do, all of us collectively, can we do the Rotary toast, the loyal toast to the King and the Commonwealth of the Bahamas and to Rotarians around the world? After that, we will do the four-way test, and the floor will be turned back over to you, Rotarian Herman. So.
We raise our
Can we
glass
proceed?
to
Yeah.
to the King and to the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
To the King and the Commonwealth of the
King and
Bahamas.
Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
And
And
on the same note,
Rotarians around the world.
Rotarians here and there and everywhere.
And we can
Ro-
now join
around
in
the
on the
world.
survey test.
Four-way test of the things, King, say or do.
There, do.
Is
Is it the truth?
Is it the truth?
Will it build goodwill
Is it
and
fair?
better
Is it
friendship?
fair to all concerned?
Fair to all
Is it fair to
concerned?
all concerned?
Will it build
Will it
and
build
better
goodwill
friendship?
and better friendship?
Will
And
it build
will
Will
it
it be
be fun?
beneficial to all concerned?
And
And
will it be fun?
yay.
Will it be fun? Well,
Okay,
again,
Chairman Herman, the floor is over to you.
thank you, Madam Secretary. Again, thanks to each and every one of you taking the time out and join us into our awesome Rotary meeting. I would also like to say at the end of the month is our face-to-face. So those who are in the district, even those who are not, you can, you're thinking of a day trip or a 2-day trip, Kid Island is the place to be. It's nothing like it. Come on down, fellowship with us. We have our face-to-face meeting the last Thursday every month. That'll be our next meeting. So I want to thank you all once again for coming out and be a part of this awesome meeting. Meeting is officially adjourned. For those of you who can't stay in the parking lot thereafter, and we can have some positive talk. Good night. Good night.
Night,
Good
everyone.
night.
I have to go, I'm afraid.
Yes, all right.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm reading up on this FTX. This has me, be deep involved now.
Good
I have
night.
to
Good night.
step off
Great
because
meeting.
I'm
Great
busy.
meeting.
But
Yeah.
thank you so
Good
much. It was
night.
an awesome meeting.
Yes,
Awesome.
very good.
Bye,
Very good.
everyone.
Thank you again,
Right.
Chantal and Sheila.
Now,
All
Michelle,
right.
Thank you so much.
threatening to come
Thank you
stay
very
with you.
much.
Bye-bye.
It's a
Wonderful meeting.
dynamic
Have a
business
good night.
dynamic.